Martha Silano has authored 5 poetry books, including Gravity Assist and The Little Office of the Immaculate Conception, which was a winner of the 2010 Saturnalia Books Poetry Prize, and a Washington State Book Award finalist. And another book, Reckless Lovely. All of the books have been published by Saturnalia Books. Martha also co-authored with Kelli Russell Agodon, The Daily Poet, Day-by-Day Prompts for Your Writing Practice. In addition to AQR, Martha's poems have appeared very widely in such places as Poetry, Poetry Daily, Verse Daily, Paris Review, AGNI, North American Review, American Poetry Review, Prairie Schooner, Beloit Poetry Journal, Blackbird, Copper Nickel, and the Mississippi Review. Her poem Love was featured in the Best American Poetry of 2009. Martha teaches at Bellevue College. So now it's my pleasure to turn it over to Martha.
Oh, thank you so much, Ron, for that generous introduction. I'm going to read 2 poems from that appeared in the last quarterly review. The first one was written between probably sometime in 2020. I lost both my parents in the space of 10 months. So I guess you could say I had death on the brain. And I started doing some research about what happens when we die. I'm sorry, this isn't the most uplifting of readings, but I did find it intriguing what I learned from my research. This is called autolysis. All it means is self-digestion, our body's microbes doing the work of undoing. All it means is the miracle of what had sustained us, morphing into what's needed to reduce us to nitrogen and phosphorus, to return us to the earth where we'll make a rich soil for basil and thyme. The book says leak as cells break down, says rigor mortis, says in each gut dwells hundreds of thousands of species, which after death become a thanatomicrobiome, from Thanatos, god of death, brother of Hypnos, kin to Oasis, god of suffering, and Moros, god of doom. The holy book of woe, the opposite of a heart-shaped box of chocolates. The microbes, like a rowdy mob, making their way to the liver, the heart, and brain. Then everything in between. The most hallowed parts of the body, now a credenza on which to put their feet up, rifle through the depths of the spleen, the half-finished crossword puzzles of the lymph nodes. I wondered how it happens, the why of exploding abdomens. And here it is. Our bodies are pre-equipped with the critters who break us down from long-legged Vegas dancers to fodder for a cluster of mushrooms. Molecular death, the book called it. Full-on slippage into the soil. And what do we carry? What have we carried? Eyes that had noted the mouth-like petals of snapdragons, the sticky white pods of milkweed. hands that had gathered them into bouquets, hands that had held. And I was very, very grateful to Ron for accepting that poem. I never expected it in a million years to be in the Alaska Quarterly Review, one of my favorite magazines. And then he decided to take this other poem, which is the other poem I'll read. I think the title says it all. It's in Abecedarian. It sort of just fell out of me, but I am in a writing group and they helped me just perfectly find 2 or 3 things to fix, and I was ever grateful. I was in Florida at the time, reading a book about the history of physics from the beginning to Higgs boson. So some of that is reflected in the poem as well as some of the birds. And the reference to Zoe at the end is the book I read when I was 15 when I fell in love with J.D. Salinger, Franny and Zoe. So that's about all the glossing I think I need to do, and I'll read this poem, Abecedarian with ALS. A little bit sane, a little bit not. Blackbirds that turned out to be boat-tailed grackles. Crows that cannot covert their fury of feathers. Don't say Relivrio reminds you of hemlock. Every wave reassuringly governed by the moon. But what about riptides? F a duck. Glad there's a joyful edge, though narrower than a willet's beak. Hail in the forecast, a bitter taste. It enables animals to avoid exposure to toxins. Jaw stiffens, then relaxes. What will my body do next? Kindness, we decide, is what we want to broadcast. Letting someone pull out in front of you in traffic, make their turn, because the universe isn't elegant. No one's really going anywhere important or running late to spin or vinyasa or Pilates. The neutral neutrons of the nucleus. Quarks that are up, down, charm, strange, top and bottom. Though rehab in the CD, a lunch date in Leshai, PT in Madrona, it happens. Socrates died of centripetal paralysis, a prominent loss of sensation. Terminal. I wish it were more like waiting out a storm with an $18 glass of Pinot. Unbound, bound. Very much looking forward to overcooked orzo and finely chopped spinach. What was that you reassured me? When we die, we wake from a dream. X marks the rear of the theater. One shove of poison into a pure realm. You know we're all getting off at the same exit, right? Zoe's wish to pray without ceasing. And I'll just say, my husband, I was reluctant about reading this poem and sharing it today. And he said, you know, maybe that's why we have poetry.